Hey, what's up guys? Mike King with King Family Consulting, and today I want to talk to you about the power of leveraging Facebook leads to grow your database to help you close more deals over the long run throughout the year. So big shout out to my man Randy Olive with Keller Williams. Went through a business planning session with him and a bunch of other realtors, and really cool to see how they break things down and how they plan, and then as a marketer, how I can come in and add value to the system that they are working. And I'm going to explain that here in a minute and why you should really be bullish on that. But if you're looking for business planning, definitely hit Randy Olive up. The dude is amazing. Plus, he sees a tremendous amount of data with the teams that he oversees, some of the largest teams in Keller Williams. So he sees numbers that most people don't get the opportunity to see. So let's dive into this. The way that he breaks things down when he's working with individual agents or teams to increase their production is he focuses on the things that he can control. And when he's looking at somebody's business, they're breaking these things up into categories. So you have prospecting, you have appointments, you have appointments that lead to agreements, and then agreements lead to contracts, and contracts lead to closing. And you really can't control any of these things. What you can control is the percentages for each one of those things and getting better so that you can increase those percentages, which has a ripple effect. So in this example that he walked us through, and this is over a year, he says start with the end in mind. So if you wanted to have an additional 10 closings, and based on the numbers that he sees with all of the agents that he works with, you need to go ahead and you need to have 12 contracts in place in order to have 10 closings, because it's typically an 85% conversion rate on contracts to closings. So then we can walk this back and you can see that in order to get 12 contracts, you need to have 16 agreements, because all the numbers that he's seeing averages 75% of agreements convert into contracts. Then in order to have 16 agreements, you need to go ahead and have 22 appointments. The typical conversion that he sees is anywhere from 65-75% of conversions from appointments to agreements. Now, it's where things start to get interesting for me and for what I do and the value that I can add as a vendor or a partner to someone's business. In order to have 22 appointments, you need to have 440 conversations, right? Prospecting conversations. And that's because he sees a 5% conversion rate between prospecting and appointment. Now, as he says, you can't control any of these things. But what you can control is you can control the percentages, your conversion percentages on each one of those things. And as you get better at each one of these percentages, these numbers obviously will increase down the road. So if we think of this as a conveyor belt and things rolling from the beginning to the end, well, the question in my mind comes in is how can we get more people on this conveyor belt? That's a horrible arrow, by the way. So clients can have more prospecting and conversation opportunities. And the way to do that is with Facebook, and primarily by leveraging video and building engaged data, and then using that in a systematic way to generate those more conversations. So interestingly enough, in order to create 440 conversations, you need to generate 3,366 leads. Now remember, this example is over the course of a year. You want to add 10 closings to your business in a month? All right, well, these are still the same numbers that you need to hit, and you need to generate this amount of leads. I want to say, where's my calculator? So that's a 13% conversion rate of leads to conversations that you're having, which is probably about right. We're seeing anywhere from 10 to 15% in the campaigns that we're running. So yeah, that's definitely right in line with that. So now the question becomes, what are your options for filling up your conveyor or your funnel or your hopper, whatever you want to call it, with 3,366 leads? Because there's a price, right? So there's two prices that you have to consider. The first price is the money that you're going to have to spend, right? So you can go out there and you can buy all kinds of lead generation systems or enter into agreements with different lead providers, you know, and you can go to top-end providers, so maybe like a Zillow, and pay anywhere from $60 to $115 a lead at places like that. Or you can go to places like Facebook and generate leads, you know, from $1 to $5. And you do it in a systematic way, you can have those leads generate into conversations somewhat automatically, right? So you have the money you're going to pay, and then you have the most important thing that's even more important than the money, and that is the cost of time. So what is your time worth to you? Because you're going to have time spent generating these leads, but even if you don't spend the time generating these leads for yourself, you have the time that it's going to take converting these leads into conversations. And I did the math before. You need, for internet leads, right, you need 8 to 14 touches to move that to a conversation, right? So whether that's a yes, let's move forward, or, you know, send me a list or whatever, or to a no, don't bother me again. Okay, and now here's the thing. On 100 leads, to execute those 8 to 14 touches to get that one conversation, 20 hours is what it comes out to. As an agent, I don't know about you, but do you have 20 hours to dedicate to prospecting these leads and turning them into conversations? And that's a rhetorical question, because obviously, as we can see, you've got to be doing that in order to reach your goals. But the cool thing is if you learn Facebook and you learn how to market correctly using video, you can take away a majority of the manual labor that goes into generating the leads and turning those leads into conversations. And that means you don't have to worry about answering the phone right away when a lead comes in if you're on a listing appointment or if you're giving a buyer's presentation. You don't have to worry about answering the call or responding to the lead if you're out with your family at dinner and you need to excuse yourself because you don't want to miss an opportunity. All of those types of things can be systematized, right? And those are the things that I'm teaching inside my private group and things that we go over and handle for our clients. So I think that that's really cool that Randy laid all this out, and as a partner to someone's business, I can come alongside them strategically and help them basically scale up their business by teaching them or doing it with them or doing it for them, but loading up this hopper with this so that their conveyor belt can run quicker and can scale to more closings. So lastly, if you're looking for some business coaching, I highly recommend Randy Olive with Keller Williams. And if you want to talk about scaling your business, bringing in more leads so that you have more opportunities to have more conversations, which will lead to more appointments, which lead to more agreements, which will lead to more contracts, which will lead to more closings, please feel free to hit me up. And as always, please like, share, subscribe, all that good social media stuff. Leave your comments below. We'll be happy to answer them and to help you out however we can. Have a great day.